live from Richmond, Virginia. It's the Three Wide Racing Driver Developmental Series at Richmond International Raceway for race number 5, 6 in the Three Wide Racing TV Series. And this is Three Wide TV, bringing you live coverage every second, every minute of each race of the Three Wide Racing DD Series. I'm Johnny Thomas, and alongside me, like always, Richard Lafferty. Welcome, Richard.
How you doing, Johnny?
Not bad, and we got a heck of a show that's about to happen tonight. We got some rivals that brewed up in the last couple weeks. We didn't race last week because of the Daytona Day, so hopefully everybody enjoyed Daytona Day. But we raced 2 weeks ago, and Tate Lytle got the win to pick up a lot of points. And then you had a little bit of a rivalry, like I mentioned, with Todd Smith and Luis. And what better place to come to than Richmond to kind of settle a rivalry, or whatever you kind of call it. And Richard, do you think anything might happen between those two guys? I know they're both first and second in the points.
Well, I know that last week Luis was pretty fired up, so we'll see if I imagine they're both fast. They'll let some quite be running nose and tail at the point tonight. So we'll see if Luis sheds his good guy image and he decides to use the bumper a little bit.
And I feel like if Luis or Tate wants to win this championship, they're 14 points back. Actually, Tate is 17 points back, second and third. If they want to get to Todd before Talladega hits next week, they got to kind of get that gap, maybe cut in half. I think if Luis wants a good shot at this, he might need to be 7 points back. Same with Tate. So if you want to cut this gap in half, you got to have the halfway bonus. You got to win that, and you pretty much got to win the race in general. So if Todd's in first and Luis is in second, I definitely anticipate something happen if Luis can get close to Todd's bumper.
Yeah, there's definitely no time to lose the point standings. You expect these guys that are up top to keep stacking up good runs. So you're just going to have to try to outrun them and then just hope for the best.
And as we look at the point standings, we got 12 minutes left in practice. As you see there, Thomas Morris is quickest, Tate Lytle second, and our points leader, Todd Smith, rounding out the top three. But top 5 in points, Thomas Morris is running 5th in points, with Rusty Webb in 4th, Tate Lytle 3rd, Luis Salmaso second, and Todd Smith is the points leader. I'm looking at Thomas Morris, and you mentioned before the broadcast, Richard, Thomas missed a race, and he's still 4th in points. That shows a lot to how strong he's been in only the 3 races he's entered.
Yeah, we were talking before the broadcast started here about how tight this top was in points, and there's a couple guys like Thomas and Levi that I think we'd have a 5-car battle for the championship if they hadn't had some computer issues or not able to make a race.
Yeah, and these guys all want to get a victory. I know Thomas has not won yet. He wants to get a victory. Luis, we mentioned, he hasn't won yet. Tate has won. Todd's won 2 races. A guy sitting in 4th in points, we don't talk about him a lot. We talk about how consistent he is every week. And it's Rusty Webb, and it'd be cool to see Rusty get a victory. I know he's been racing these races for a long time at 3-Wide Racing. It'd be cool to see Rusty get in victory lane.
Yeah, like we talked about, Rusty's just got consistently better over time. He just consistently put up 4 top 10s, not really had a lot of trouble, and hopefully he can get up there and maybe mix it up a little bit, get a real good run tonight on a short track.
Yeah, the broadcast starts, actually the race starts at 10:15, so we got about 25 minutes left, and if you're watching the race on YouTube, you can contact us, chat with us. I'm sure Carlos will interact with you as much as he can. I'll try to interact with you as much as we can. We got something special for you guys before the broadcast even starts here, or before the race even starts, is Carlos has been hard at work making a little bit of a commercial, a preview for the upcoming 3-Wide season. Actually, tomorrow is the 3-Wide Racing Triple Crown Series. I think we go to Lucas Oil, and that'll be race number 2 of 3 races in the Rallycross Series. That's going to be exciting, and the much anticipated Cup Series and Truck Series. It's going to be rolling off here in a couple weeks. And Richard, man, we can talk a little bit about that. It seemed like a couple weeks ago we were at Homestead, but now the season's about to start up. 2018 is about to start up, and I'm sure a lot of these guys are fired up to get going, because this is only about 50% of the field that you'll see on Sunday and Monday nights in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of anticipation going in this year. Just like in real NASCAR, this seems like the off season's not very long, and I know we're excited over at JTR to get the season started. And the rallycross is a whole different kind of thing. That's a good time for anybody that hasn't had a chance to get into that. It's a fun little mix of racing, something neat to get into. But everybody's excited for the season, I think.
And this season, the DD Series will wrap up next week at Talladega. That's going to be a crazy show. But tonight's Richmond, and after Talladega, it's pretty much the season starts after Talladega. Speed Week starts. We'll have a 3-Wide Racing Media Day. That's always a fun day, as everybody gets to introduce their new paint schemes for the Cup Series and Truck Series. I know us at JTR are really excited. We got some cool paints in store. Like always, it'll be a fun day. And then you'll start off with the Clash race at Talladega, and that's always a good time. But tonight we got Richmond at 3-Wide Racing, the DD Series on 3-Wide TV. You see about 8 minutes left. And I don't know if Carlos, do you want to show that commercial right now? All right, Carlos is ready to go. And in a couple seconds, you'll see the premiere of the 3-Wide Racing's 3-Wide TV's commercial of the 3-Wide Racing preview. And that was a 3-Wide Racing commercial brought to you by 3-Wide TV and Richard. What an awesome job Carlos has done, not only with this commercial, but with everything in general. I know every week we try to give a shout out to Carlos. He's been doing all of this for 3-Wide TV, and like always, all we do is talk. He's the man behind everything, and good job, Carlos, and hopefully everybody that likes this can comment on it on Twitter. Give a shout out to Carlos for everything he does and for everything he's going to do. We're going to show that commercial during the race broadcast one more time as well if you guys missed it. But good job, Carlos. That was a really cool commercial you're going to do, and we got a lot more stuff in store for you guys as the season goes on. Yep. And Richard, let's talk a little bit about Richmond. This is a track. I mean, I've always really liked Richmond. I think it's kind of a momentum track. It's a kind of hitting your marks type racetrack. Roll through the center of the corners, get the big run off to set up your pass coming off the corners, getting down into the turns when you typically tend to make your passing Can you add a little bit more to what Richmond Speedway is all about?
Yeah, it's pretty much just about getting the car to roll through the center, not overdriving the entrance, and then I don't know how the setup is so much. I'm trying to watch here in practice, but you know the setup's loose, and it's just about getting the back tires locked down as you try to get the drive off. But it's a good track for passing and racing. Generally, if you get to somebody that you're faster than, you can get around them, which is a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of these tracks that we race week in and week out. But anytime you go to a short track that's not the way Bristol is now, it usually leads to some good racing where people get around each other and race each other pretty well.
Yeah, Richmond has always been a good track for good racing, and that's what you look for. And with this 3-wide, with the DD series, it seems like all these guys have passed the test each track we go to. We've been to a mile and a half. We've been to a mile track. Now this is I think the real test. This is a short track, and we do occasionally run quite a few short tracks during the 3-wide racing season. So we're going to get to see what these guys got. And what I've noticed, this being a daytime race, these cars have got to be pretty slick coming off the turns.
Yeah, in the words of the great Dale Jr. in our minds, it seems like it's a whole different racetrack when you get here in the day. When you get here, Charlotte in the day, these tracks that we're used to running at night, I think it's a lot better racing usually during the day. The car has less grip. You got to drive it a little more, and we'll see how these guys do. I mean, it's easy to overdrive the entrance a little bit and get into the guy in front of you. Everybody's got to respect each other a little bit more. The braking points will be different. It's not just the same old lap after lap. There's a little bit more involved once you get on a short track like this.
Yeah, what I see here, I'm looking at the weather. Air temp 76 degrees, track temp 103. That's fairly normal for an iRacing setup, but still 103 degree racetrack. It's going to be fun to see, and as I'm watching in practice, there's a lot of people getting loose coming out of 2, and I think we have our in-race reporter, like always. That's Kyle Hanshaw. I think he's joined up with us right now, and let's see, Kyle, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. What's going on, fellas?
Not much, Hanshaw. We've just been talking about the track. We've been talking about Richmond. We love short track racing. What can you tell us a little bit about this track? You're the man on it right now.
This is one of the tracks that I've been looking forward to racing at. Yeah, just short tracks in general are fun to race on, and you know I think it puts on a better show. Right now the track's a little slick, especially coming out of 2 off the corners. The back end just wants to go around on you, but you know if you manage your you know tires and whatnot throughout the race and just keep the car under you, should have a decent finish at the end of this thing.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We feel like, well, in the past, all 4 of these races, we've haven't had a lot of cautions. But with Richmond being a short track, we might get some cautions. I'm interested to see if long runs will come into play, if we're going to have to make green flag pit stops, or if we're going to have basically pit stops under yellow every single time, and that'll be interesting. We've had, in the past 3-wide races, we've had caution-filled races here, and then we've also had races that have went green for quite a while. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of race this is going to be. Are you noticing the conditions, Hanshaw? Are they really loose coming out of the turns?
Yeah, coming off the corners, it's definitely it's really loose. Wants to, you know, the back end wants to come out from under you, and I mean, just if guys are smart and manage their stuff throughout the race, then you know we should be able to put on a pretty good show.
Alrighty, as we got about 20 seconds before we qualify, Hanshaw, we'll talk to you sometime during the race, probably under caution. So good luck to you, and we'll see you in a little bit.
All right, thanks, guys.
Like I said, approaching qualifying right now, and Richard, I think it's probably time to make our picks, and honestly, we've been pretty good. I think we've each picked a winner every week. Would you like to go first in this week? I think I picked Tate last week, and he ended up winning. So, how about you go first and see who you got?
Well, in the interest of maybe trying to help him out a little bit, and maybe get that sour look off his face. I'll go with Luis El Masso to get the win tonight. He's been knocking on the door every week, and hopefully everything can fall for him right this week to maybe get the W.
He doesn't like when we put him up in the polls. He said it's bad luck, but I think if we pick him, if one of us pick him to win, maybe he'll get that victory and close that points lead on Todd. Let's see. I'm looking at the practice speeds, and it seems like the same old guys up front. I noticed that David Wilson was 4th quickest in practice. I'm thinking, I hope it's a wild race. I want to see a wild race, and usually when it's a wild race, you get a kind of a different face in victory lane. And I'm going to go with David Wilson to get that win. It'll be his first ever win if he can get it. And I'm picking David, as qualifying is rolling off right now. If you're on board with Josh Personet in the 23 car.
Yeah, I like that pick. Honestly, when we popped that leaderboard up there and I saw David in 4th, I kind of already committed the Luis pick in my head, but I kind of wanted to go with that wild card David Wilson pick myself.
Yeah, I feel like somebody had to pick Luis. He seemed like he was kind of grumpy the last couple of weeks. Actually, probably, honestly, Luis has been grumping before the Super Bowl, so we're almost rolling on a month now with Luis having kind of a negative attitude towards towards the race season.
Yeah, he's just had a lot of bad luck too. Some of it is doing, some of it just, if cautions hadn't come out, 20 laps ago in races, he would have probably won. It seemed like, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, when he was pretty much walking away with the race, and then we got the late caution, and he came out to 4th and just couldn't make it up. So hopefully he needs a break, and hopefully he can get it this week.
Yeah, he's definitely handled himself a lot better than I would have. And actually a lot of people. So give credit to Luis, and hopefully he'll get a good solid finish today. And look at my pick, David Wilson. He won right now out of 20 cars. And right now we have only Frank Sims, I think, left to go. And Levi, we got Frank Sims, Nathan Young, Levi Zielinski. And if none of them can get the pole, David Wilson, I think this will be David's first ever pole if he can hold it off.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but David's the live streaming guy, right?
Yeah, how about this? We keep talking about David. Let's bring him up, talk to him. He could explain it a little bit better than we can. Let's see, where is David? PPG, he's part of Chad Brown's group. Let's bring him in here. David, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Man, we're really talking you up here. I picked you to win the race, not put a lot of pressure on you, but we always give you shout outs every week about your stream and where to go. I know Carlos puts it in the link for 3Wide TV. Right now you're the pole sitter, but can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing? I know you got a cool setup over there.
I'm running the same setup you guys are. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know where the lap came from. I tried my hardest to get under 22 during practice, and I couldn't do it. I just basically wasn't even trying. I don't know where it came from. I don't expect to run that fast during the race. I hope I don't spin out on lap 1. The last time I started on the pole, I spun out lap 1 on the first turn. So thanks for jinxing me, by the way. I haven't won a race yet, and I don't know. I don't know what to say, guys.
Well, it'll be fun to watch you, David. I think, don't you run a VR? Don't you have a VR set up at your house?
Yeah, I got a VR set up. I got streams on YouTube and Twitch. Scopeaks, SCOPIQUES. Yeah, on the description to the stream here. This is pretty cool. Sometimes I practice without it, and it's so tough, going to VR, trying to get used to it, and then coming back from it is about just as difficult.
All right, David. Well, we thank you. You put up some of I think the coolest coverage, arguably with anybody in this league. So we thank you for doing that, and I think that's it for qualifying. So congratulations on the pole. This is your first ever pole for 3Wide Racing, and we wish you the best of luck tonight.
Hey, thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, David. That's David Wilson, everybody. I always talk about David. I think he's one of the nicest guys in the garage area. He's always polite, and he's good at, he's really shows a lot of sportsmanship on the track, and I've always liked racing with David. But I think it's 10:05. Carlos, is that when we do the national anthem? Okay, Carlos says yes. So it's right now, 10:05, 10 minutes before the race starts. It is time for the national anthem, brought to you by the U.S. Marine Band. All right, everybody, national anthem done and over with, and now it's time to go racing. And Richard, man, I'm pumped up for this race. I think it's going to be an exciting race. Our first short track. I love short tracks. I know you love short tracks, and pretty much the majority of this country loves racing on these short tracks. So it's going to be a lot of fun here tonight. I think we're going to see some bumping and banging. Hopefully, some rivalries will be started or continued. We might see, I'm betting we're going to see quite a few more cautions of what we've normally seen the past 4 races. I think it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, I expect to see a real good race here, real good competitive race. Talking about rivalries, we got Luis starting 4th and Todd Smith starting right behind him in 6th. Try to rekindle that rivalry from 2 weeks ago. We'll see how those two guys race around each other, and we'll see how much respect these guys can race with tonight.
Yeah, your top 5, Zielinski 5th, Salmasso 4th, Lytle 3rd, Morris 2nd. And we talked to him earlier, David Wilson, P1. And there's a leaderboard, 6th through 10th, Todd Smith 6th, Rusty Webb 7th, Andrew Rucker 8th, Chad Brown 9th, Matt Hackathorn 10th. So as you can see, if you look at the point standings, well, Carlos switches 11th through 20th. So Mike Stevens 11th, Whitley, Teal, Hines, Nick Miller, Kyle Hanshaw, in-race reporter, James Duke coming back from his 1-race suspension. He's back with us here this week. Cogswell 18th, Person at 19th, and Skylar Nissel, P20. There's 21st through 23rd. You got Miller, Sims, and Young. Not a good lap for Brett Miller. He's been pretty consistent so far this year, and I'm sure he's disappointed with that 21st lap. And Nathan Young rounded out the field in 23rd. So we got a decent field. It seems like, Richard, we're averaging 20 to 25 cars each week.
Yeah, the fields have been good. We hope that a lot of these guys carry over. I know a lot of these guys are signed up already, and we're hoping a few more sign up for the regular season that's going to kick off here in just a couple weeks.
13 more, and we'll have a cup field.
Yeah, what's a cup field now? What do they want, 30 cars, 27, something like that?
IndyCar field, let's make it 22. What do we got? At 10:09, we got about 6 minutes before the race starts. And let's see, who can we bring up an interview that we haven't brought up? Is Andrew Rucker on here? We have yet to talk to Andrew. I don't see Andrew. Do you see Andrew?
No, I don't see Andrew Rucker in there at all. Trying to think of somebody else that we haven't really got a chance to have a chat with yet this year.
Have we talked to Chad Brown? Have we talked to Chad Brown at all? Let's do Chad. Let's interview him. He's a PPG owner. Chad, it's Johnny Thomas from the 3 Wide TV booth. Got a copy?
I sure do. How are you? Good,
man. Team Car, PPG, David Wilson on the pole here tonight. We haven't got to talk to you. You're the owner of PPG. And so far the season has gone pretty good. I think you're, let's see, 3-6. You're 8th in points right now, so pretty good season. David Wilson, one spot ahead of you. 4 races into this season, how would you kind of grade your team's performance so far?
I think our team has definitely stepped it up from last year, and I couldn't be any more proud of our guys. I think we've had a great series, and looking forward to run these last 2 races and ending it on a high note.
Yeah, and I picked David Wilson to win this race. Hopefully I'm not a bad luck charm. I think we've done a pretty good job at picking the guys, but I feel like David is due for a win. He's always up front, and he was up front a lot in the B-Car series last year. And as we go more and as we finish up these 2 races, we go into the actual 3-wide racing season. What's your kind of goals as a team for the 2018 season?
Well, I definitely want to see some wins, and I want to get more than one car into the championship hunt.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see, and it's good to see new teams come aboard. I know last year APG was started. I think you guys ran before in other leagues, but it's always fun to see new teams form up in 3-wide racing. And Chad, man, we wish you the best of luck here tonight and through the rest of this DD series, and also into next year, or actually into this year, the beginning season of the Cup Series and Truck Series, and hopefully we'll see some cool paints at Media Day in a couple weeks.
All right, Johnny. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Chad. That was Chad Brown from PPG. PPG seems like a cool group, Richard.
Yeah, seems like a lot of good guys. I guess Todd's part of them, or he seems like he's in their chat a lot if he's not. And David that you just heard from, just seems like a laid-back group. Probably have a good time on the team speak week in and week out, and that's really what this league's about, I feel like.
It's all about having fun, and if you want to have fun at 3-wide racing, please join. Signups are still open. I know Corey's still looking for guys to run, still looking for good competitive guys, race clean. So if you want to sign up for 3-wide racing, please join the website, 3wideracingleague.com, or you can send Corey a DM or something on Twitter at 3-wide racing, and that is RCN. 3-wide racing, so the number 3-wide RCN. That's the 3-wide racing's Twitter account. Corey will be more than happy to accept you in this league if you can race with us and be competitive, but also more importantly, be clean. So we're always welcoming new people in the league. And we've always, this DD series, have welcomed in a good 15 to 20 guys, and they've all been pretty much competitive. I've loved what I see, but they got a test here tonight at Richmond.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. It's a different experience for sure than the usual 1.5 you get week in and week out. But a lot of these guys should be used to Richmond. It's a track we run a couple times a year in the Open and Fixed Series on iRacing, and we've run it every year in this league. So, and the guys have been around for a while should have some experience around this place.
Yeah, we got 142 laps in this 103-degree track temp. It's going to be interesting. That's a decently long race. It's a normal 3-wide race for a short track. So 142 laps, and if my math is right, well, the halfway will be 71. I think 71, lap 71 will be the halfway point. So it's going to be a fun race here. I've always loved Richmond. I've loved watching races here at Richmond International Raceway. I loved when they did in the early 2000s those Looney Tunes paint schemes. That was really, really cool to see all those guys have that. And I felt like in the early 2000s and the later on mid-2000s, the racing was awesome at Richmond. But as we've seen, as Richmond has had a lot of night races the last 5 to 10 years, kind of the racing's kind of went away. It seemed like they finally got back to a day race, and I felt like the cars, like you said earlier, I feel like the cars in the racing has been so much better.
Yeah, anytime you can take a little grip away, and I know they keep trying to take rear downforce off the cars, which in my engineering doctorate experience, it seems like they need to take more front downforce off these cars, but anytime you take grip away from the tires, it seems like it makes such a huge difference. And then, of course, it seems like tire wear is just exponentially worse as they get on the hotter track. So it just seems like it makes better racing anywhere they run a day race.
Yeah, I always feel, and I always say this, we need more racers' racetracks. And Richmond in the day is definitely a racers' racetrack. The best guys come out and perform well. And not only do they do it on the real life side of things, but this was also going to be the case in iRacing. is the guys who can handle these loose race cars, the guys that can handle tire wear at a short track. They're going to be the ones that jump up there and get the wins, get the top fives. And what we've seen already, I mean, I'm impressed with David Wilson, but it's the same guys each week: Tate Lytle, Samasso, Zielinski, Todd Smith. So it's going to be interesting to see as we get into a long run what these guys can do. We're getting ready to grid, so I think Carlos will be showing here the leaderboard as we roll off with the starting lineup. Alrighty, round number 5 of the DD series, and starting on your pole, P1's David Wilson in 39 cars. Starting second, Thomas Morris in the 26. Row 2, Tate Lytle starting third. The outside row is Luis Salmasso. Starting 5th and 6th, Levi Zielinski, and your points leader, Todd Smith. And starting in P7, it's Rusty Webb. Outside of Rusty, Andrew Rucker. And we just heard from him, Chad Brown, P9, with Matt Hackathorn. Hackathorn's looking for a good run here. He's struggled the last couple weeks. He's starting P10. And Richard, if you want to take over for rows 6 through 10.
Yeah, starting row 6, 11th, Mike Stevens, veteran, and newcomer Michael Whitley starts 12th. Eisentek's Jordan Teal, roll off 13th. Gentleman racer Richard Hines, roll off on the outside of row 7. Row 8, we got the Badger Nick Miller. He'll start 15th, and starting 16th, our in-race reporter, Mr. Kyle Hanshaw.
The outsider.
The outsider, 17th, James Duke, trying to come back from that suspension, and Jonathan Cogswell, 27 car, will roll off 18th. 19th, we got the 23 car, Josh Personette. And 20th, guy coming back to the series, Mr. Skylar Nissel, needs a good run.
Here you got the rest of the field. Brent Miller starting 21st, Frank Sims 22nd, and rounding out the field, our good buddy Nathan Young. Let's hope for Nathan to get a good run here. I like that. Is the Gentleman's Racer, is that Richard's new nickname?
As we've talked about before, Richard Hines is the Harry Gant of the late 2010s three-wide racing series.
So if Richard wins, he'll break the record for the oldest winner of three-wide.
I would say so. I don't know what the current record is. We'd have to go. We need our own. What's the website that everybody uses for NASCAR? Can't even think of it right now.
Racing Reference.
Yeah, we need a three-wide racing reference so we can have stats like that.
Who's the oldest three-wide winner? That's a good question. I don't even know. It'd have to be somebody in their 30s. That's about it. I don't think anybody older than that has won. So if Richard can pull off a victory, he would be the oldest guy.
Yeah, and since we get 2 pace laps for the first time this year, we get a minute to talk. Anybody that doesn't know, Richard actually made some starts in the NASCAR, what used to be the Craftsman Truck Series, and now I guess the Camping World Truck Series. So he's got some top 3 series starts in real race cars.
Yeah, if you want to have a good time and sit back and listen to some of Richard's stories, we were privileged enough to do that down in Eldora last year. It was a good time. Richard joined us, and he's a really, really nice guy. So if you ever get to sit down and talk to Richard, really do it. It's cool to see some of them older guys that have raced in the 90s and the 80s talk about the old times of the sport. As I think, what do we got? This is when we're going to go right now, right?
Yes, sir. Coming to the green flag right here.
Alrighty, pace car down. David Wilson on the pole. Round 5 of the DD series is underway. Green flag. Wilson held him back quite a bit there, and then he gets a big jump off. I don't think Thomas Morris was expecting that as Tate Lytle gets around Morris.
Yeah, and it seems like a little slow there. We got caution.
We got a caution already. Lap 1. We mentioned it was going to be, we got quite a few cars involved. You see Nick Miller at the bottom of your screen right sideways. Middle of the back straightaway. I'm interested to see what happened there. Lap 1 caution involving the 99 car, Team Blurry, Nick Miller. As Carlos will have the replay for you right now. Let's see what happens. It looks like Whitley. Did Whitley get sideways?
Yeah, and I'm watching it here on iRacing. It looks like Jordan Teal got in the back of the 94 car.
So here's the start of the race. I'm beginning to think it's not on Nick Miller. Richard, you mentioned Jordan Teal getting in the back of Whitley. Did Whitley come down or Jordan just tap him?
Yeah, it looked like Jordan was just a touch faster, maybe just misjudged a little bit. Just got enough of his bumper to turn him sideways, and then just chain reaction after that. As you see, looks like Nick Miller's race is going to be over early.
Just the innocent bystander, Nick Miller gets pounded by Jordan Teal as Teal makes contact with Whitley. You have a better camera. Yeah, he just bumps him, and that's something. Oh, and Richard Hines, we were just talking about him. He gets, I think his day's done as well, as he gets slammed in the outside wall. But the worst of that, obviously, is Nick Miller in the 99 car.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to come down too hard on the 33 car, but that's a situation there we'd like to see maybe a little bit more patience early in the race like that.
That's something where I'm sure some guy came on the radio and said, it's lap 1 and lap 142, Jordan. Calm it down just a bit. But Richmond, I feel like it's a hard track to get.
We should probably let it get to halfway before we...
A lot of guys will ease into the corner. Some guys will drive it in hard to the corner. So until you race around these guys, and that's what I always stress when I'm in these things, is really race and practice. Get a group of cars and race, because you don't want to just be blindfolded coming into this thing. And as you can tell, Jordan didn't know where Wilson's braking zone was and kind of ran in the back of him.
Yeah, you get plenty of time to warm up here. I feel like, and it's happened to me, and it's happened to all of us, sometimes you get to where you're just trying to hot lap for an hour, but you got to get in here and you got to run a little bit, actually race a little bit. That's why we got this practice time before the race.
Sorry, not Wilson, Michael Whitley, that Jordan Teal ran in the back of. So we mentioned it was going to be contact. I wasn't expecting a lap 1 caution, but here we are. It happens. First caution of the day coming at lap 1, and we're right now, I don't think we're going to get the 1 to go yet, so we still got 2 laps to go. David Wilson first, Tate Lytle second, Thomas Morris third. Not too much have happened. We noticed David Wilson got a big jump on those guys, and that made Tate go around Thomas. But I mean, that stinks for a lot of guys, Richard, because it seemed like a lot of guys got damaged, and I know aerodynamics is not super important here at a short track, but it does kind of play into your handling going into these turns.
Yeah, it seems like it'll make the car tight, at least under the old damage miles. It definitely would. And, you know, you get the infamous iRacing engine damage. But as of right now, it looks like everybody's still rolling. I know Nick and Richard, I think, just rolled into pit road again. They're trying to get their cars patched up. So hopefully maybe they can get them patched up and be at least semi-competitive for the rest of this race.
Well, nobody has went into the garage area. That's a good thing. Bad thing for us, we can't talk to anybody during the wreck because nobody has went into the garage. So we might be able to catch up with some of these guys later on and see what happened. It looks like we're going to go green here as the lights are off on the pace car. David Wilson leading the way. And I think some of these guys, Richard, they kind of want to get settled in. They want to get their groove back. I know they've probably ran a lot of laps in practice. They want to get some laps underneath their belt and kind of do some green flag racing.
Yeah, you don't pay for the service to pace.
Nope, I'm pacing. We're green here. David Wilson, another good start on Tate Lytle. As they'll go down in turn number 1 as Tate takes the outside trying to get around David. That's a big run by Tate there to try to make the pass.
Yeah, Tate's making it hard on David. Looks like he's going to pull him down the backstretch and take the lead.
And that's something that I rarely see here. I don't know if this is a product of the day race, but making a pass work on that Highland, and Tate Lytle showing his strength here early on at Richmond.
Tate Wilson is an accurate description of the front 2, as it looks like towards the back here, we're getting a little bit sorted out.
I think we say Levi gets loose maybe 10 times every race.
Yeah, Levi's not scared to get the thing a third of the way sideways for sure.
That's why they call him Rowdy.
Put it on Tate.
All right, as you see, that's Rowdy Zielinski and Luis Salmasso fighting it out. Todd Smith, the rivalry right there. And Fox Sports, their Fox coverage would put these two guys, they would focus on these guys for the whole entire broadcast. if it was Fox, but we're not going to do that because I don't think Luis is going to do anything to Todd just yet.
No, I think that if you can be calm about it right after the incident happens, I don't expect anything 2 weeks later.
As you see on the broadcast, Mike Stevens way off the pace. Not too sure what happened to Mike there, as he's lost tons of ground on the field. There's a battle with Nathan Young and Skylar Nissel. As you saw right before the wreck, or actually right after the wreck, Nathan was stopped, but it doesn't look like he had any damage, so that's good for Nathan.
Now, and you saw right there in the picture a moment ago, and you might see it again here in a second. Richard Hines looks like he's still at least somewhat competitive.
Yeah, and that was a nasty hit Richard took on that outside wall. He got blasted into the outside wall. His car shot up in the air, but hey, it's a short track. I guess you can run on these things.
Yeah, and you saw it momentarily there a second ago. It looks like Todd Smith going around Levi Solinsky for 4th place, so he's already up in the top 4, looking to make a charge up towards the front.
And Todd started P6. He's up to 4th. That's actually our biggest gainer so far. Kyle Hanshaw actually started 16th. He's in 11th. That is our biggest gainer. So props to our in-race reporters so far. Kyle Hanshaw on the move. He's got some rear end damage. Maybe that's helping him out.
Getting a little more rear downforce thanks to somebody else's bumper.
That had to happen on the start there. As Hanshaw working his way up to 11th. You see the battle. Nick Miller. We thought Nick was done. Nick's a lap down. But he's still up there, and he's actually still competitive with some of these guys. So that's good to see Nick up there. And I think Nick's just trying to get laps. He's getting ready for that 3-wide season in a couple weeks as well.
Yeah, and right now he's the only car a lap down. So if he can just ride around here, you'd imagine at some point somebody's going to get impatient. They'll get another caution, try to get that lucky dog.
Here's a good battle between Levi Zielinski and Luis Samasso, and what I'm already starting to see is that highline works, and normally here it just doesn't work at Richmond, but if you can make the outside work, it's going to play fits for that guy at the bottom trying to make the pass.
Yeah, it looks like when everybody's just riding, they're riding right against the bottom, but it doesn't seem like the outside's bad once 2 people get side by side.
Hopefully some more rubber will get up there, and I'm interested to see. Seems like all these races so far, we've seen the top lane or basically the middle lane work pretty well. So it's going to be interesting to see if Richmond will do the same and that middle lane will get going. As you see Luis Salmasso making the pass on Levi, as that'll put Luis up to 5th place. And Rusty Webb right behind Levi. Rusty having another consistent day. And I expect Rusty to have that consistent day. As you see him get a little bit loose off too, as Rucker's going to try to make a pass on him here.
Yeah, it looks like that opened the door for the 17 car. Talking about Luis, he's back right there behind Todd Smith, trying to keep his eye on that point lead or try to cut into it best he can.
Yeah, and speaking of points, if it stays this way, and expecting it's probably not, it's going to change somewhat if something happens, but if it stays this way, it's going to be really, really tough going into Talladega for Tate and Luis to have a shot at this championship. Luckily for them, it's Talladega. So anything could happen. Todd Smith could finish in last and lose a whole bunch of points at Talladega. So if these guys can stay within striking distance of Todd going into that final race, then they got a shot at coming away with the championship.
Yeah, I think this race is big for those guys because right now Todd's almost got a big enough lead to where he could just ride around in the back of Talladega and stay out of trouble and probably be all right.
Yeah, definitely. As he makes the pass, so he's moving up. He makes a pass on Thomas Morris. As you guys see, Tate Lytle still in the lead. As David Wilson, he said he was probably going to spin out, or he doesn't want to spin out on the start, but he's staying right with Tate, so that's good for David, as he's P2 right now, only about 3/10 behind Tate Lytle.
Yeah, and I think David probably, it seemed like he was being a little bit ginger with the car down there at the first lap of the second restart there, and I think Tate took advantage of that, being the aggressive guy he is, to make that pass for the lead. But it seems like David's kind of been able to equalize Tate and keep it above 4/10.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch if we do get a long run. It seems like we're kind of settling into a long run now. You see how these tires start to wear. I was kind of figuring that we wouldn't see a lot of really long runs. So it's going to see who's going to burn up their tires the quickest, who's going to save some, who's going to kind of work their way through the front as the runs go on. So it's going to be fun to watch that. As you can see, I think Todd Smith has worked his way up there fast, and usually when you jump up there pretty quick on the short runs. It means you're burning up some of your stuff. But we'll see if Todd can keep that speed up. He's only 1.3 seconds back, so he's gaining on these leaders right now. So it'll be interesting to see if Todd can work his way up front and get by David and Tate.
Yeah, Todd seems like he might be the fastest guy on the track right now. Seems like he's running these front two guys down, and we know he's a guy that likes to go fast throughout the whole run. So we'll see how that works out about 30 laps in here.
And these guys, Tate and Todd, are the only guys in the 22-second bracket right now, and it's pretty close to 23 seconds. And there's a caution out. We see a car spinning. Not too sure who it was. It's Andrew Rucker. Rucker was having a good day in the top 10, but he's spun into the inside wall coming off 2. A lot of the drivers I was talking to, it seemed like they said turn 2 was the trouble spot, the spot where everybody was getting loose. Let's see what happens. So we're going to have a replay here. Coming down into 1. Each trying to make the pass on Rusty. Is he going to get loose, Richard? Oh, wow, he loses it. And he was way down to the inside there. What seemed to happen there, it just seemed like he was too far down, and it felt like there was no grip down there.
Yeah, and that's another classic example of something that happens if you don't really race a lot during the practice session. You got a little wheel into it where you don't normally have a little wheel into it, trying to stay off that guy outside of you. And those rear tires get a little light, that thing will come right around on you. And it happens here so fast, it's hard to catch it.
And the bad thing about Richmond is if you get loose off of 2, it's probably a 99.9% chance you're going to hit that inside wall and get some damage. As we see pit stops, let's see who won the race off pit road. It kind of looks like Tate Lytle did. Let's see, pit stop times. Who had the best? Tate Lytle actually a slower stop. Fastest time was Thomas Morris at a 14:27, so good stop for those guys. Let's see how much ground Thomas picked up there, but Tate with a 16-second pit stop. I'm going to have to get on those JTR boys. That was pretty slow.
Probably got one of those bad air guns from NASCAR.
That's what happened. Everybody issued out these air guns, and everybody's having problems. They gave us a bad batch. Corey gave us a bad batch of air guns at JTR.
Getting hosed by the man, and we were talking about it before. I just noticed as I was going through the field there on the server, Nick Miller got his lap back, so that was a good break for him.
So Nick's going to have the lucky dog, and he seemed pretty competitive there, even when the car was all torn to heck. So it'll be fun to see. Hopefully Nick can get back up there and challenge, even with the damaged race car. We got some time. Let's bring up our in-race reporter to give us an idea on what has happened these last 27 laps, and that's Kyle Hanshaw. Hanshaw, you got a copy?
What's up?
Hey, we've had about 28 laps, actually exactly 28 laps, for you to kind of figure out your car. We've had 2 cautions. How's it like out there?
It's pretty fun. You just gotta, watch yourself coming off the corners because the back end will get around on you. But other than that, it's a pretty fun race so far. Guys made a couple mistakes early on and kind of cost them, but we're putting on a pretty good show. It's some pretty good racing.
Yeah, you started 16th, worked your way up to 10th. I think that's the biggest mover so far. You got anything for some of these guys up through 6th through 10th right now?
Probably not on the short runs. Definitely on the long runs. I feel like I'm better on the long runs here. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what we can pull out of this.
All right, Hanshaw. Well, good luck. I'm sure we're going to talk to you again before the race ends. So have fun.
All right, thanks, guys.
Hanshaw said the track's fun, and under these conditions, I'm guessing it's got to be fun for these guys. I feel like you can kind of manage your stuff if you want to manage your stuff and move up towards the end of these runs. So I'm sure it's a fun time out there.
Yeah, and it's good to hear that he's happy with the setup. You never know what you're going to get with these iRacing setups. The car's going to be loose a little bit off here, especially during the day. So anybody that complains about that, I mean, there's not a lot you can do about that. So, but it seems like the car's pretty racy. The setup's not too bad. It
seems like a good time out there. We're green flag once again. That was the second caution of the day. green flag at lap 30. Remember, everybody, the halfway bonus is at lap 71, so in 41 laps we'll hit that. As Levi tries to make the pass on Thomas Morris. Let's see if Levi can complete it. That'll be for the 4th spot. And Thomas is going to fight back here in a little bit, but I'm sure Levi's going to make the pass going into 1.
Yeah, it looks like Levi clears him there in 1. Said his sail's looking at Todd for that 3rd place. Luis fell back a little ways on that pit stop sequence. He's back to 6, so he's going to have to make up a little ground to get back up there to near the 19 car.
Yeah, Luis must have had one of them bad air guns as well, because he lost a couple spots on the pit stop. He's going to have to work by Thomas, and I think Levi's getting sideways. Did he save it? He did. Well, I don't know if you caught that, Richard, but that was a... Levi was super loose there going into 2, or actually going into 1.
Yeah, it looked like he got in there a little hot and bit him a little bit, but he did a good job of saving it. Everybody behind him did a good job of staying off each other there. Didn't turn into a caution.
So if we're counting, that was the 2nd time, and now I think Levi's lost. Have we lost Levi? Has Levi left the building?
It doesn't say he's disconnected yet, but I don't see him.
Levi has left the building. Well, that's a shame, and that has to be, and we mentioned it, as his quality's at a 41, so not too good for Levi, but man, he keeps, and it's not his own fault, his computer keeps shooting himself in the foot. As you see, that's Brett Miller getting loose there. But on to Levi, man, that's tough luck again for him.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy who hasn't been able to compete to his potential for this short DD series due to definitely some computer issues he's had.
Yeah, and he might have not disconnected from the server, but we're showing him 2 laps down, so it'll be hard to make that up even if he gets restarted. And as you can see now, his throughput fell through, so Levi most likely having a DNF for tonight's race. That's a shame. Levi was running in the top 5.
When you run the car sideways like that all the time, the iRacing service just doesn't know what to do with it. So the servers just start booting you.
Maybe that's what happened. Look, we got a battle for the lead. David Wilson is approaching Tate. I don't know if Tate's saving his stuff a little bit, but Wilson wants to lead some more laps.
Yeah, but Tate's saving his stuff. It doesn't look like the 39 car wants any part of that. He's putting the pressure on the 19's sniffing at his back bumper as well.
And I think what a lot of these guys have advantage over the top 3 guys is they're just going out and having fun right now. The season is winding down. This is the 2nd to last race. Todd Smith, Luis, Tate, they got everything to lose, but 4th through on back, I mean, they can go for broke right now. And right now you're seeing it with David Wilson. He just wants a win.
Yeah, David, you heard it in the pre-race interview. They just looking for good finishes and a win if they can steal one somewhere, and this looks like it might be a decent opportunity for those guys at PPG.
And I think the biggest thing for a race car driver, even if it's a sim race car driver, is confidence. And if you get some confidence into David, you get some confidence into Rusty, let's say Thomas Morris, Hackathorn, if they get a victory, who knows what that might do for them during the actual 3-wide racing season in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and it's a big deal for you to run up front consistently. People race you different when you're up front, when you run up front consistently, and they don't just expect to pass you. They'll have to respect you a little more when they get around you.
And I think that's what you're seeing right now with David Wilson. He's up to P2. He was on the pole, so he's got a really fast car. And that, I don't know what kind of beer scheme that is. I don't know if you could see it, Richard, but David's been running that paint scheme since last year. So pretty cool paint scheme. And Carlos said it, but I did not know what he said. Hop hash. Is that infused? Was that infused marijuana beer? What is that, Richard?
I like that you asked me like I know. I left my reefer smoking back in high school, so I'm not 100% sure what that is.
So we'll have to ask David about the. Where's David from?
America.
That's right. All right. Well, Wilson, as we see, challenging Tate. We got a battle with Chad Brown. We talked to him earlier. Chad Brown running in 9th place, trying to get around Josh Personet. Personet's having a good day. We haven't mentioned him a lot during this season, but he's up in the top 10, so good run for Josh.
Yeah, we talked about biggest movers earlier. He started back in the 19th position up to 8th place now. So he's made a little charge towards the front in the first 45 laps of this race.
Yeah, 11 positions so far. We got a nice battle here between the 27 of Cogswell, 46 Hanshaw. I think that's Brent Miller behind Hanshaw there. So there's battles everywhere. And that's what I love about three-wide racing is you're not just going to get a battle up front. There's going to be these battles between everybody. And you get little rivalries not only between the guys that's racing first through fifth, but all the way on back to 15th through 20th. You'll get guys that after the race is over with, they're not going to like each other.
No, and a lot of these battles you don't really get to see during the broadcast, so we try to give them to you when we can. As you see, David Wilson's still all over the back of the 83 car, trying to put some pressure on him for the lead.
Yeah, that's first to third, separated about 0.7 of a second. And then P4 is pretty far back, 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds actually. Thomas Morris in fourth. So right now it's kind of staying steady. P through 1. We got a car spinning. And it's Personet, but he saved it going through the grass. That's not going to be a caution. But it's going to lose Personet tons of ground there, because he loses it coming off of turn 4. And that was a good catch, though, by Carlos, seeing that as Personet goes spinning through turn 4. Actually didn't go all the way around, didn't make a 360, so good save by Personet. He's going to cycle back around to the, what do we got here, 14th position. So he lost 6 positions on that little sideways spin he just had.
Yeah, now he's all the way back to 17th position as the last couple of guys cycled by him as he tried to get up to speed. But hey, good job by him, keeping the car straight. You're going to make a couple mistakes. That's the difference between ruining your race and just having to gather yourself and go back at it.
Yeah, we went green on lap 30. So we've had 18 laps on these tires, and it seemed like we had about 25 laps on the tires before we had our second wreck of the day. And there's Rusty spinning. Rusty saves it. Rusty saves it, so another good save. So we saw Personet lose it off 4, and we saw Rusty now lose it off 4, Richard. And I was just about to say, it seems like at a certain time these tires start really wearing on these guys, and that's when you start seeing accidents.
Yeah, and we're hearing from our Mr. Carlos that Rusty may be on the same tires he started on. He's even got a heat cycle through those things of that first long run.
That's probably a product of these new pit stalls iRacing has installed. It seems like if you get in your pit box a little funky, you're not going to get pitted. You're not going to get pitted. Or you can go back, you can go forward, you can go right, left, and it still won't let you in. So maybe that's what happened to Rusty, and he just decided to just come back out on the track. As we got a battle for the lead, Todd Smith gets around David Wilson, and now he's on to Tate's back bumper. He's going to try to make the pass on the inside there.
As usual, we've seen this 83 and 19 car race around each other a lot the last couple of weeks. Soon to be the two classes of the field over the second half of the the DD series. And Todd does a good job there staying off.
Tate hits the wall a little bit. It seems like Todd kind of saved his tires a little bit this run, and he's made up a lot of ground on these two cars. He's going to try to make the pass here. He doesn't quite do it, as Tate will lead that lap.
And you can see it there. The car didn't really get sideways, but you can see it didn't like that bottom line coming off forward there.
Yeah, if you're pretty equal, we got another caution. And that's about the same caution, the same amount of laps as we had for the second caution, about 20 to 25 laps. And it's Rucker again. That's the second time he's gotten in an accident. And there's a replay. Rucker's going to get loose off of 4. Yes, he does. And loops it around. Looks like we'll have no damage by Rucker. A good job by everybody else avoiding him.
That was kind of a weird looking one too. It looked like he had the car saved and then it just kicked back sideways on him and it was too late.
So caution out, lap 54. And how about lap 54? We show that commercial that Carlos did for us again, if Carlos doesn't mind showing it, after pit stop. So we're going to go on to pit stops, and we'll have a commercial here in just a bit. So let's see who can be the fastest stop here. Let's see if the air guns work for that 83 car. And I'm beginning to think, Richard, there's going to be nobody with these types of conditions, with how hot the track is. Nobody's going to try to take 2 tires, will they?
I definitely don't think so. definitely not in this portion of the run. I don't see what you'd have to gain, and not with this many laps on the tires. Maybe we'll see something at the end of the race where somebody will get cute with a little strategy. But you'd be at a huge disadvantage at this point.
Let's see who comes off pit road. It's going to be Tate. Then second, Smith. Good pit stop for Tate Lytle. David Wilson third. Luis fourth. Great pit stop by Chad Brown. He's going to get fifth there. As you saw Thomas Morris, we just talked about that pit road. It's really, really difficult now to get in and out. And looked like Thomas couldn't get in at the right angle. He lost a bunch of ground, and we mentioned we're going to do it after pit stops. Here is the 3-Wide Racing commercial for the preview of the 3-Wide Racing season. We're back under green. Man, that commercial lasted long, Carlos. We're green flag. Lap 58 of 142 laps, and it's Tate Lytle up front. Todd Smith in second. David Wilson, I think, still in third. Yes, he is. And Luis Salmaso, P4. We mentioned Luis was back to 6th or 7th there when that caution flew, and he's up to 4th already, so a good pit stop by those guys.
Yeah, good pit stop by those front guys. And you can see David, maybe a little inexperienced starting up front. First couple restarts here, it seems like he struggled a little bit, but I think he'll get it figured out a little more as the race goes on.
I'm beginning to think it's going to be the Tate and Todd show there for the last part of this race. We're not quite halfway, but right now it seems like the two fastest cars right now is Tate Lytle and Todd Smith, and they're 1-2 right now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. David's made a good run of staying up there with those guys in the front two. So we'll see if he's got anything for him as the race wears on. I'd like to see us get a 40 or 50 lap run on tires and then see how everything shakes out. Oh, yeah. We have a wreck.
There's
Brent
a big
Miller
crash.
and
Big crash.
James
Brent
Duke
Miller.
get together.
Miller and Duke is what you mentioned. I didn't quite see it. I just saw Miller getting nailed after he spun out. Now let's see what happens here. Do we have contact? Ooh. Did Miller get loose there? Is that what happened, Richard?
It looked like, yeah, tried to get back to the accelerator a little hard, maybe off 4 there.
Let's see if there's some contact. I don't know. It looks like Can you show a bumper? Is there any way we can have a bumper cam of that to see if exactly Dukes hit Miller? Not quite sure. Here's a chopper view. Let's see if he gets contact. There's no contact there, Richard.
No, Brent just probably got a little overzealous with the throttle there off the corner. Just got away from him a little bit. Took a couple guys with him, unfortunately.
Yeah, who also paid the price was Mike Stevens. Mike tried to take the low lane. Brent was there and smacked right into him. So that's going to probably be some radiator damage for Stevens. His day is most likely done. Looks like Miller is still rolling. So he can still salvage some laps. We got another caution. And really, here's some strategy here. If you want some halfway bonus points, halfway bonus point is actually a lap 71. It's lap 64 now. Is any of these guys going to make any pit stops? As you see, I don't think half the field did, and I don't think half the field didn't.
Yeah, and it looks like everybody in the 5 at least stayed out. Probably those bonus points looming large. I guess they only really got, what, one full lap of green there.
Yeah, I'm seeing the top 9 stayed out. Jonathan Cogswell, who's your first guy that pitted, he'll come back out in 10th place. So those guys, they don't have. They had one lap on their tires, so it didn't really make that much of a difference. They're not going to come in, so it's going to be a little bit of a 5-lap battle to see who can get those 5 bonus points.
Yeah, and as we've talked about, that's kind of a big deal with Tate being 3rd in points, and I think only 17 points behind. Any points he can get right here, kind of a big deal going into Talladega.
Yeah, so if he can win this halfway segment, and Luis remains in 4th, then it'll be a dead heat right now to see who can get 2nd coming out of this race. It'll be interesting to see who can get the segment win here, and that'll be a lap 71. We're still not going to go green. Still looks like 2 laps left before we do wave the green flag. Lap 66. It's Tate Lytle, Todd Smith, David Wilson, P3. Nick Miller, as we mentioned, Nick got on the lead lap, and he's actually got the lucky dog again. So 2 lucky dogs for Nick Miller. So Nick Miller had some unfortunate luck there at the beginning, but he's had 2 lucky dogs to try to battle back and get his car fixed.
Yeah, and hopefully he finally got this patched up. He's had plenty of caution laps now. Hopefully he's all patched up. Maybe he can go do a little racing now.
Right now, any guys that I'm looking at that might surprise me, I see Michael Whitley. He had trouble early on in the race. And he's P8 right now, so good comeback for Michael. James Duke, you saw him in that incident there. He's up to P9. So some guys that have had some pretty eventful days are kind of salvaging it, and that's what I take with these short tracks. I look at Bristol, Martinsville, Richmond. You can have trouble all race long and somehow end up with a top 5 finish, or it can be that other guy that could have the clean race the whole entire day. They have a green-white checkered, you get spun out, you end up 15th. So anything could happen in these short tracks, and you just got to be there at the end.
Yeah, short track racing's like college football season. You can have a little issue in the first quarter of the season, but if it happens past halfway, then you're probably in trouble.
That's how Alabama looks at it.
Yeah, for sure. Alabama just knows they're going to play for the national championship every year. We go back to green here.
That's right, we go to green. Tate Lytle got a much better start here, as he pulls away with like 4 car lengths in between Todd Smith. Todd Smith will make some ground up coming out of 2. But there's going to be a little 4-lap battle, actually 3-lap battle, to see who can get that halfway bonus point. Top 5 gets points. And we got another caution. And that's Stevens around. So Richard, we've had about 3 cautions in the last 10 laps. What happens to Stevens here? Was there any contact, or was that net code? You see that?
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was neck or not, but either way, it was definitely that contact off the outside wall with a 75 car.
Yeah, it looked like Sims got loose. Comes into the... Yeah, that was contact there. Sims gets loose, overcorrects it into the 63 of Stevens, and Mike Stevens has just had a miserable day so far. As that'll probably, I thought his day ended the last caution. I'm guessing this caution will probably take Mike Stevens out of the race. So lap 70, caution's out, and that'll do it for your halfway segment. It looks like Tate Lytle's going to get the 5 points. Todd Smith's going to get 4. Luis Amaso 3 points. 2 points for David Wilson, and that one lonely point will go to Rusty Webb as he's P5 right now.
Yeah, good run for Rusty so far. We talked about the point situation kind of before that restart started, and Luis did a good job getting around David Wilson there to limit the damage best he could and come home with the 3rd place for the first half of the race there.
Yeah, so good job for Luis. He's P3. And now we're starting to see a couple cautions. We're starting to see these guys get a little bit antsy. But it's pretty much just the same types of wrecks. We're seeing guys get loose off of 2. We're seeing guys get loose off of 4. Is it a product of them just fighting the car? Is Jordan Teal he just nails the pit road wall.
Jordan Teal just went full JP Montoya under caution.
And I think he was getting the lucky dog. He got... There's a replay.
Jordan Teal treats those barriers like he treated the back bump that car he got into on lap 1.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
That's when it's for the lucky dog. Didn't turn out to be so lucky, I guess.
Oh, that was an unlucky dog right there. That dog got dropped off somewhere. Alrighty, let's regroup here. Lap 72. Tate Lytle's going to be your winner for the halfway segment. Like we mentioned, he'll get 5 points. That's good for Tate. Here's a race summary. Thank you, Carlos. Leader Tate Lytle. Laps completed 70. Laps remaining. Well, I guess there's 70 laps remaining. Lead changes. Only one lead change, and we've had 5 cautions for 23 laps. So a good 30% of this race has been under caution. Not what you want to see out of a short track. You want to see longer runs, Richard. But hopefully the second half of the race will be a little different.
Yeah, and most of these wrecks have really been give or take deals. They've just been car getting a little loose. People get a little overzealous off the corners.
So what an exciting couple laps under caution. That was unbelievable. As we're about to get going back under green, the pace lights are off on the pace car. As Tate Lytle, seems like he's been getting a good start there each restart. So let's see if he can do another one here. You ever been to Richmond, Richard?
No, it's definitely a track I've circled though that I'd like to go to sometime.
As the green flag is in the air, it's Tate Lytle up front. Let's see if Todd can do anything on that outside lane. I know Todd likes running that inside lane, and Tate's really trying to run the middle lane there. And see, I think that's going to be a struggle for Todd trying to get around Tate if Tate keeps running that middle lane.
Yeah, and you see it every time you get out here. If there's a car that's similar speed to you, it's still going to be hard to pass them no matter where you're at. These cars are definitely pretty evenly matched.
Todd's going to get close to Tate's rear bumper. Not close enough, though, as Tate's going to pull away off of 2. As you see Luis Salmaso closing in on the front 2 guys. And it seems like the same story every week. You got the 83, the 19, the 4. All 3 of these guys. And this is why they're the top 3 in the points. This is why they're the championship contenders, is they're so consistent week in and week out. Whoa, Tate Lytle's around. Looks like we made contact. There's contact between Tate and Todd.
Oh, and luckily everybody able to avoid Tate there and not too much damage. We'll have to get a look at that and cast our opinion.
And it looked like Tate didn't come away with any damage. Let's see what happens. Todd just gets in the back of him and spins him out.
Yeah, you hate to see that. It looked like maybe Tate's kind of, like you said, been running that middle line. I think Todd thought he could get underneath him. Maybe give him a benefit of the doubt and think he maybe just misjudged it by a foot. Caught the left rear corner there.
Yeah, we've seen the last 4 weeks, Todd's not afraid to be aggressive on lap 1 or with 1 lap to go. So that's something to see, and I think Richard mentioned it. There's a lot of these people, and their style of racing is diamonding Richmond. They like to go in a little bit higher, come down low. Todd, we've noticed Todd's running that yellow line all the way around the track. It looks like Tate might have diamonded the corner just a little bit, and Todd made contact. Fortunate thing, though, and this is going to be interesting to see, is Tate is extremely fast, and he has no damage. So we'll see if Tate can get back up there to battle with Luis and Todd, as everybody's coming to pit road.
And you see there on your screen the 39 car again. I don't know if that's the second time that's happened, but he definitely was a little deep in his pit stall there and had to back up, so that'll cost him.
Todd gets the lead. Luis second. Rusty's going to come out in third. You mentioned it, Richard. That's going to push David back to at least 5th or 6th there when we get going back to green. So, we mentioned 3 cautions in the last 10 laps. Now we got about 4 cautions in the last 15 laps. And Jonathan Cogswell staying out. That's going to throw a wrench in a lot of people's strategies as Cogswell stays out. And I'm guessing Cogswell was probably one of the guys that pitted on one of those 2 cautions that just happened basically a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, I feel like with this many laps to go in the race, it's a bold move gotten, but we'll see how it pays off for him.
9 laps since his last stop, and we mentioned, I think I said Cogswell was P10 coming off pit road. He's one of the only guys that made pit stops, so he wasn't running too bad, but it'll be, it's going to be interesting to see what Cogswell can do, because the guy behind him has 4 fresh tires, and that tends not to work out in the guy that stayed out's favor.
No, especially if you're a 10th place car, you start on the pole in front of guys that are faster than you on pressure tires. That's usually not a good recipe for running well. I was noticing, I was watching Tate. He made a couple pit stops to fix his damage. I'm thinking he got all his damage worked out, so he's ready to go after a couple pit stops to fix what he's been having done. You see Richard Hines, that car is all beat up. In short track racing, we're going to see most of these cars, Richard, with some type of damage when the race is done. Yeah, it looks like Richard taking the wave around there, get 3 laps down. Actually, he got the lucky dog there, so he'll be 3 laps down now.
Yeah, and if you're looking at it, the Nick Miller is a lap down. Or is the first guy? Yeah, so Richard Hines is the first guy a lap down. He's actually 3 laps down, so we get more of these cautions every 10 laps. Richard, he just might get on the lead lap.
Now, what Tate's going to have to do is just settle down. You hope he can just calm down. He's going to be way faster than these guys he's racing around for the first time. So hopefully he can just keep his head on straight here, get it wound down a little bit. I'm sure he's fired up right now. And try to pass some people.
So this is going to be fun to see. Jonathan Cogswell on ordered tires, trying to kind of battle off Todd Smith and Luis Almazo. And as we get green, where do you think Cogswell is going to end up on the first lap here?
I bet he rolls, I don't know, 6th or 7th by the time this lap's over with. As he stays even going into 1.
Yeah, Todd's going to make the pass on Cogswell. He's hugging that bottom line, so he's staying pretty good right now, as Luis is going to come to the outside and try to make the pass on him.
Yeah, and I imagine these guys are going to line up, try to go around him on the outside here. So Luis clears them, and Rusty Webb goes to work on him.
Yeah, and Rusty and Hackathorn is going to battle it. So far, Cogswell, P3, so it might work out. I think he's going to bank on having a caution here in the next 10 laps, so he'll cycle back with everybody and maybe cycle back maybe 7th or 8th. As we see, it's Wilson. Wilson's going to go hard on the outside wall. Rucker into the wall as well. It's actually Wilson in the inside wall. As Rucker, this is his 3rd incident. I think he was just trying to avoid Wilson. Wilson's going to get loose, tries to lock her up. Oh, he saved it. I thought he nailed the wall, but great save by David Wilson.
Yeah, and then the excitement, I think, just got 17 car there, but he did a great job keeping the thing off the inside wall.
I caught Wilson flying into the inside, and I thought for sure he was going to hit it. And Rucker loses it. So, I mean, we've seen Mike Stevens have a rough day. We've seen Rucker have a rough day. And man, that's the third incident for Andrew Rucker as he just tried to avoid the car of David Wilson and overcorrected it and went to the inside wall. That's going to hurt him right now.
Yeah, and the guy we were talking about before that all started off, Tate Lytle, up to P13 now, so he's able to knock off some spots and stay out of trouble there.
Yep, Tate's going to get up to 13th, and we just mentioned Richard Hines. He's going to get another lucky dog. So there's number 2 for Hines. So we got 2 for Nick Miller, 2 for Hines. So we're issuing lucky dogs out to everybody. What is he? He's the gentleman's racer. Richard, the gentleman's racer Hines.
Richard's a good dude, and he just needs, I guess he was still laps down before that, so now he's 3 laps down, so he's going to need 3 more of those or some waiver rounds. Hopefully he can get back up there and compete a little bit.
Richard's running P20 right now. Richard, who's a good boy, Hines, as Carlos said. He is a good boy. So now, Richard, what's going through, if you're down on the track here, if you're racing, you're in the top 10, let's say, you're seeing all these cautions, caution after caution after caution. We've had 5 cautions, it seemed like, the last 10 minutes. Is your mindset to just kind of go with the flow and keep charging because it seems like everybody's really racing hard, or are you just going to kind of sit back and let kind of everything settle down here and kind of wait until about 20 to 30 laps to go?
Yeah, I feel like since the longest run we've had is in the high 20 laps, you don't really have time. You're just going to have to drive it in there and try to stay off the guys around you, but I don't think there's any time to ride and try to take care of the tires or anything like that. It's pretty much go time, I feel like, from the time the green flag drops at this point.
Yeah, we're seeing a crazy different order here. Besides Todd Smith and Luis in first and second, you got Cogswell in third on old tires, and you got Rusty Webb fourth. Hackathorn has finally broken into the top 5, and then you got James Duke in sixth with Whitley, Brown, and Personette. So you got a little bit different order of a top 10 here, so it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch Thomas and Tate. As we see Thomas, he's back to 12th as Tate Lytle's 13th, so let's see if those guys can work themselves up to the top 5 like they've been running the whole race, and see if they can battle with some of these guys.
Yeah, you got and back there with them too now, David Wilson, 11th, 12th, and 13th, those 3 guys. So I imagine the 3 of them are all going to be racing each other hard and then having to race hard to try to get back towards the front where they've been running all day.
Yeah, that's a little odd. First, second, and third, the people that started first, second, and third are actually running 11th, 12th, and 13th right now. So they hope to get back up there to where they should be running, and they're top 5 contenders. They ran into some trouble, but they got plenty of time to get back up there. They just need to start charging here pretty quick right now.
Yeah, and you talked about Cogswell. I'm surprised he doubled down on the no pitting thing. Usually when that doesn't work the first time so good, they'll go ahead and duck down, but he's going to double down on it and try to make another restart here.
Yeah, and he's running P3. Todd gets a good jump on some of these guys. Cogswell's actually going to be side by side with Luis when we get into turn 1.
See Rusty Webb thinking about it, but thinking better of it and backing off there a little bit.
Yeah, I think Rusty can make this pass here on the outside lane with his fresh tires. Cogswell in that really cool looking Cheetos car. That's a nice paint scheme.
Yeah, that's a good looking car for sure.
As you see, Matt Hackathorn. So Rusty's going to complete the pass for third. Hackathorn's going to try to get past on Cogswell. Cogswell's actually kind of holding up here, holding his own, so that's good to see, and I'm sure a lot of these teams are taking note of that if we get a caution with 10, 15 laps to go. And our producer, Carlos, I just mentioned that Andrew Rucker has officially been disqualified from the race. He had a DNF, so he's the first guy, actually, besides we actually have quite a bit of people that have closed down with Zielinski, Stevens, Teal, and Rucker. So we got 4 cars that are currently at DNF. That's not the day they wanted to have, but they always got Talladega next week, and you know, Richard, anything could happen at Talladega.
Yeah, and you forgot to mention 4 cars and 5 barrels that won't make it to the end of this race.
Yes, that had been a heck of a delay there to replace those sand. Are they water or sand now?
Who knows? Whatever Steve O'Donnell says is safer and has more downforce.
It used to be water. I remember it being water, and those guys would hit that thing and splash all over the place. But I think it is sand right now. As there's Tate Lytle, we mentioned it. He was 13th on the restart. He's P9, and we saw this with Tate at the first race of the season when he got shuffled in the back, and he had to work his way up to the front 2 times, and he did it, and he ended up finishing, I think, in the top 5. So if it can be done, if anybody can do it, it's definitely going to be Tate.
Yeah, and you can tell right there, Tate's driving that car hard. He's trying to work his way through traffic here. I don't think it'll take him long to get past the 64 to 94 car, get up to 7th, and then try to get back in that top 5.
You had Chad Brown in 8th, Michael Whitley in 7th, and you got Cogswell and Old Tires in 6th. As Tate's going to make the pass. And we got a new leader. It's Luis. As he leads his first laps of the day, he gets around Todd Smith.
Yeah, and old Luis was showing a little, seems like it's kind of coming out of nowhere. I guess he's been figuring out this track as the race has gone on. He didn't take any time there to get around the 19 car.
And that's a power move, and that's what I've loved out of this series so far is normally you'll have one guy that dominates the race, and if they don't have problems, they'll pretty much lead most of the laps throughout the whole race. These guys, you got about 3 or 4 guys that are super fast, but there won't be one dominant guy each race. They'll all collectively lead 20, 30 laps, and it's put on a heck of a show these last 4 weeks, and it's definitely not disappointing here tonight.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot more green flag passes for the lead than real NASCAR's got, and a lot of good racing up front from all these guys.
Yeah, as we're on lap 98 of 142. Luis Salmaso leading his first laps of the day, and he'll get a bonus point. You do get points for leading laps, so that's another point that Luis is going to get. And he just wants to win this thing to try to close the gap on Todd. I know Luis's main goal, I know he always talks about he wants good top 5 finishes, but eventually you got to get a win if you want to win this championship.
Yeah, and he needs one worse than anybody right now. Him and Tate both. Tate needs to get back up there. He's now made his way back up to 7th and all over the back of the 27th car for 6th place.
Tate Lytle up to 7th. This is going to be really, really fun to see if Tate can get to the back bumper of Todd Smith, as he's got a couple more cars to go before we get to Todd, and they got a pretty big gap. Tate's actually 3.5 seconds behind the leaders.
Yeah, and you can see Tate already working hard on the back of James Duke there for 5th place. So it didn't take him long to make a run back at 5th place. And I expect some fireworks maybe if he gets back to the back deck lid of the 19 car.
And there's an easy pass on Tate. So Tate has worked his way from 13th to 5th on green flag runs. And he gets turned again by James Duke. He turns him and he saves it. He doesn't get hit. Duke spins him out. That's the second time Duke's has spun out somebody today.
James Dukes decided to come back from that suspension with a big old welded front bumper.
Like the good old days when they put the big old middle bars in the front bumper.
He's got that Earnhardt front bumper going.
Yeah, we don't need a replay here. We know what happened, as Carlos is always on the ball with some of these wrecks. James Duke gets in the back of Tate Lytle. And it took Tate about 20 laps to get to 5th. We got 40 laps to go. So I'm sure Tate is fuming inside as he gets taken out twice in less than about a 40-lap time frame.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be too happy, especially about that one for sure.
No, that's a case of you know the guy's faster. Why even try to make a fuss about it, really? But pit stops are rolling in right now. Luis Salmaso was the leader. Let's see if he can get the lead under these pit stops here. And he'll get the lead easily as Luis gets first, Rusty third, Hackathorn. Actually, Rusty second, Hackathorn third. I think Todd Smith is going to come out fourth.
Yeah, it looked like Todd Smith definitely lost a little ground there on that pit stop. It looked tough to make that up as fast as Luis looked on that last run.
And I don't know if Thomas Morris is a lap down or not, but yeah, I think he stayed out. So Thomas Morris is your new leader. And Richard, do you know how many, I don't know how many laps we had on that run, but Thomas Morris might have been looking at Cogswell to see how good Cogswell kind of stayed up there for the first 10 laps. So maybe he's going to try to do that strategy.
Yeah, I would imagine it's a situation maybe where he's just hoping for another quick caution. Not after not too long. Maybe he'll pit then, or hope they can run 5 laps and everybody will pit.
So Todd Smith all the way back to 5th, and this is going to give a pretty good buffer between Luis and Todd. So if Luis wants to make some ground, kind of separate himself from the pack, then this is the perfect time to do it. We only got 39 laps to go, but I'm sure we're going to have another caution here before the night's through.
Yeah, I think another caution's a given for sure. As we got some fast cars in the back, and they're going to be looking to make up some room. And Thomas has been fast, so I'm sure he was just trying to make up some ground there on these leaders. He feels like he should be up front. This is the way to do it late in the race.
And our producer is saying Carlos is saying that Thomas Morris has 25 lap old tires. So that's quite a bit compared to Cogswell, and Cogswell kind of held him off. Well, he fell back to 3rd on the first lap, but he was kind of hovering around 7th or 8th there. So it'll be interesting to see if Thomas Morris can do the same with older tires.
And Cogswell still in 6th place and would have been 5th if Thomas doesn't stay out. So really that ended up working out pretty good for him and his team.
Yeah, it was a good gamble for Cogswell. He's P6. We got Todd Smith in 5th. I don't know what happened on that pit stop. I don't know if he slid through his pits or what, or just had a slow pit stop in general. But he's going to roll off 5th here. I think Luis is still in a really, really good position here. He's going to get a good run off into turn 1 and probably make the pass on Thomas.
Yeah, as long as Luis can get a decent start right here, I don't think Thomas is going to be able to put up much of a fight.
So here we go. Pace. The lights are off on the pace car. We're going to have 36 laps to go. We're closing in on the checkered flag here, and I don't have any idea on who's going to pull this race off.
No, that's for sure a good problem to have as we go back to green.
Yeah, and Thomas gets a good start as he'll be about a car length ahead of all these guys, but Luis is going to have a big run coming off onto the outside there. Thomas slips up a bit. That's going to open the door open for Rusty as Todd's going to make it 3 wide. Luis charges it down, and Todd just bullies Rusty out of the way as Todd's going to get the 3rd spot. Luis is going to battle here for the lead with Thomas.
Yeah, and Todd looked like he got his left side underneath the yellow line there and made it work. Thanks to Rusty, it looked like giving him a little space.
As Luis makes the pass, and I think he made it a little later than what he wanted to, as Todd Smith is all the way up to 3rd. He's going to get around Thomas here probably pretty quickly, maybe even going into turn 1. And he does complete the pass. So now at the shootout, it's Luis and Todd. With 34 laps to go, can Todd Smith catch Luis? We got a car spinning. I think it's Cogswell. It is Cogswell.
27 car goes around right in front of Lytle, who's already all the way back up to 6th place after that incident, I think.
Jonathan Cogswell looks like he got loose. That's what I noticed. Tate Lytle is a man on a mission. He has worked his way up in 3 laps. Oh, he smacks the wall. Nails the inside wall.
And that stinks for the 27 car after, fighting hard on those 2 tires or the no tires and making it work, and then you just get the wall there a little bit and ruin your day.
And this looked like a different condition here. It looked like a little bit of a tight condition, don't you think?
Yeah, it looked like he's just trying to keep those guys in front of him. Probably just overdrove the car a little bit off the corner there.
Smacked the wall in front of Tate and Hanshaw. Hanshaw's up to P7, so a great day so far with Kyle. Let's see if we can get a word with Kyle. I don't think we're going to jinx him by interviewing him. He is our in-race reporter. We can talk to him whenever we want. Up in the three-wide TV booth, it's Johnny Thomas and Richard Lafferty, and we're joined here by Kyle. Kyle, can you hear us loud and clear?
Yep, I got you.
Well, your P7 started 16th. Been pretty eventful, and it was probably a pretty eventful sight 2 laps ago when Cogswell smacked the wall and almost ran into all you guys. So Hanshaw, man, you're up to 7th. 32 laps to go. We've been talking. Anything can happen on a short track. What's your thinking behind these last 30 laps, and what are you going to approach? How are you going to approach these last 30 laps?
Well, we got a couple laps on our tires right now. I mean, guys are just going to have to be smart. I mean, they're making bonehead mistakes in these early runs and, you know, killing themselves. And, you know, it's just, you got to just take it easy. I mean, there's plenty of racing left to go. But, I mean, I'm just making off of, you know, guys' mistakes and just making up spots and whatnot. But, I mean, it's been a fun race so far, and it's definitely a handful to drive. But, I mean, these last couple laps will be crazy. I think I'm going to probably take my time a little bit, but I'm not going to give up the bottom at all because you just get killed on the outside, and I'm going to try to get down. I think I'm starting 6th, so I'm going to try to get down low as soon as possible.
Well, I tell you what, I think 1st through 5th is going to show some major fireworks here, so you might be the one guy that's sitting pretty here when we get to the checkered flag. We're going to have about 28 laps to go when we get the green. And Hanshaw, man, we're going to probably see you at the end of this race. Good luck. Maybe, just maybe, we might see you 1st, 2nd, or 3rd.
Yeah, hopefully. Looking forward to the end of this race, seeing what we could do.
Thanks, Hanshaw.
Thanks.
That's Kyle Hanshaw, and you'd have to say that's probably Kyle's strongest run of the year so far.
Yeah, he's just kept himself out of trouble and ran pretty good. And I don't know what happened during that thing, but it looks like Todd Smith has lost connection.
Oh, that's huge news. The championship leader has lost connection. His received throughput fell at an unacceptable level, and I think we're going to delay the green here.
And Todd's reconnected now, but he's going to be at least 3 or 4 laps down before he gets back in here.
What a turn of events. I would have never dreamed. Todd has never showed any signs of an internet failure through these first 4 races, and tonight a mechanical failure takes Todd out of the running. I did not even see that happen. And Luis Amaso is going to choose the outside line. Thomas Morris on old tires. That's going to help out Rusty running 4th, and also going to help out Hanshaw running 6th. Let's see what happens here. We're going green with 28 laps to go. Luis Amaso, Rusty Webb up to 2nd. Hanshaw battling for 4th. Side by side with Hackathorn. So a lot of stuff has happened, Richard, in these last 5 laps. It seems like a lot of stuff's been happening under caution.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the 19 car has gotten back out there yet or not, but you see Tate Lytle back there lurking at 5th.
Oh,
they get together, but he saves it.
Great save by Hackathorn. He's going to drive it in hard, and he's going to save it. That was a good save by Hackathorn, and he's going to have trouble with Tate Lytle. Tate Lytle right on the back of these 2 guys. We got cars sideways. It was Dukes getting a little bit of contact from Brent Miller there.
Tate Lytle's going to make it 3 wide on the front stretch here.
Is he going to be smart? Is he going to dig it in? No, he's going to back off a little bit. He's going to let those guys, he's going to get a good run off this turn here. So we got some racing going on. Luis Amaso has pulled a little bit away from Rusty Webb, about half a second, and it's just a big cluster from 3rd on back.
As you see Tate looking to make the pass for 4th place, and I'm sure he's looking to run these guys down in the front as fast as he can.
This has to be blood in the water for Luis and Tate Lytle. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast that if they wanted a chance at this championship, they needed something to happen to Todd going into Talladega, and this is what happened. Todd's 4 laps down over a mechanical issue. and Luis and Tate is running first and fourth right now. I couldn't tell you what the points would be like. I'm guessing, well, with 19, if Todd's going to finish probably 19th or 18th if nobody has any incidents from here on out, so that's 19 points just in positions. And Tate Lytle was third at 17 points back, and Luis was 14 points back.
Yeah, this is going to make a hardcore three-man battle going into Talladega, it looks like.
What a show we're going to have next week. Adds the drama. Perfect. We love it. Horrible,
yeah, that's going to be exciting.
For Todd, but that's going to be a really, really good race. We got a caution. Caution with 22 laps to go. It's Brent Miller around coming out of turn 4. Let's see what happens with Brent here. Is he going to get some contact? Nope. What happens here? Oh, he gets turned by Brown. That was just that was Chad Brown getting into the back of Brent.
Yeah, it looked like it might have been a little bit of a chain reaction deal with the 76 car in front of Brent there, checking up a little bit. Brent checks up, and
here we go.
Chad
Almost gets in the back.
As much.
He hits him once. Nope. Hits him twice. And turns him. So Brent Miller, he's had an eventful day. He goes around once again. I think Brent's been around a couple times here today so far, so Brent probably wants to leave Virginia as soon as possible.
We've had about 8 cautions with about 3 cars, it seems like.
Yeah, it seems like the same guys have been getting involved in accidents. As before that caution, Thomas Morris fell back to 4th. Tate Lytle got around him. So, and that's a big break. You mentioned Cogswell with the break, but that's a huge break for Thomas Morris to get back up there.
Yeah, that's going to make Thomas Morris a factor here at the end. Everybody's going to get on even tires now as the 19 car stays out to try to get a lap back. So he's going to try to get past Richard Hines for 18th. But he's still going to be
we got some 2 tires.
in trouble.
Dukes with 2 tires. Tate Lytle didn't get a good pit stop. Neither did, I want to say, Rusty with a poor pit stop. No, Rusty's going to be P3. As James Duke seemed like he was struggling on speed before that caution came out, and he's going to be the one that takes 2 tires. What do you think of that move?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if there's only 5 or 6 laps to go, maybe you can pull that off, but it's a lot of laps to go to hold off guys on better tires that are way faster than you before this.
So Todd Smith's going to get the wave around. That'll put him 3 laps down. Richard Hines is going to get another lucky dog, so he's 2 laps down. So now we're going to have Dukes, Salmasso, Webb, Hackathorn, Thomas, and Tate Lytle. And 1st through 6th, with Person at 7th, Hanshaw 8th, Whitley 9th, and Chad Brown 10th. We're going to have the restart with around 17 laps to go, if I'm correct. So James Duke, he's got to be pretty conservative, I would imagine, on these 2 tires. I don't know how these 2 tires are going to react to race conditions like this with the track temperature so high.
Yeah, it seems like the actual restart hasn't been that much of an issue. It's just going down into 1. You just know the car's not going to stick. These guys are going to drive around you on the outside if they can.
And if you guys see at home, some of these cars are clean, but your race leader, James Duke, he's not so clean. He's got left front damage. He's got right front damage. And I'm guessing, if you can turn around here, he's probably got rear end damage as well. Yes, he does.
You could probably say James Duke's hit everything on the track except for the barrels and the entrance to pit road.
And the pace car, yeah. Let's see what happens here. It looks like we're not going to get the restart with 17 to go. 16 to go. Well, Richard, it seems like we've had good finishes every week, and I'm guessing that this finish isn't going to be any different. It's going to be another shootout to the end, another caution coming within 20 laps to go. And still, I said at the last restart, I don't know who's going to win this race. I still don't know who's going to win this race.
I feel like this might not be the last time we see that Ford Mustang pace car out here on the track.
I agree with you. I think we're going to have probably one more caution before we can settle this thing. As James Duke with 2 tires is going to take the green with 16 laps to go. Pace car down onto the pits. Dukes fires off quick. Rusty's going to take him 3 wide. Rusty whip. Oh, they spin out. Dukes through the infield. And there's no caution yet. No caution. It was a single car spin. They're not going to have a caution. Let's see who files back. It's going to be Salmaso first. Hackathorn second. And Tate Lytle's going to come back out in third. And it looks like Rusty Webb just tried to take him 3 wide. Dukes tried to make a little bit of a block and spun himself out.
Yeah, Rusty was there. I mean, it was aggressive, but that's what you're going to get with a restart with 16 laps to go on older tires.
Yeah, and Rusty was probably thinking that Dukes had older tires. He can probably challenge that. Hackathorn makes an abrupt move on Tate Lytle, and there's Rusty trying to capitalize on Matt's mistake.
We're seeing now under race control that the restart's under review, but it looked like a good restart by the leader there.
Yeah, and I'm thinking he just probably couldn't accelerate as fast as these guys with older tires. So that's probably what happened there. The only guy I could see penalizing maybe is Rusty Webb for turning left too quick.
Yeah, he didn't really hold his line, I guess. They could take a look at that, but you'd hate to see that for Rusty. I mean, that's the situation you get in when these guys restart on old tires this late in a race.
Yeah, if I was the race control, I probably wouldn't penalize him. I think that was just a situation of Dukes having older tires, and Rusty was just trying to react to what Dukes was going to do. As now we got a shootout between Luis and Tate. Luis second in points, Tate third in points. They're battling out first and second, and what we've seen from today, it seems like Tate has had a faster car than Luis.
Yeah, but it does seem like Luis has kicked in the afterburns the second half of the race, so I don't know if Tate's going to be able to run him back down or not.
As that lap was posted, Tate ran a 22.40, Salmaso 22.46. We got contact, Hanshaw onto the outside wall. And he'll come back down. It looked like a little bit of a lick to Hanshaw. Somebody pushed him up the track. Producer saying Wilson pushed Kyle Hanshaw up the track there. Hanshaw's going to file back. Right now running P11. Going to get around Brent for 10th place. That puts Hanshaw, Hanshaw loose.
Driving that thing like
Brent's going to dive it down. Oh. They're both going to get sideways. We got some good racing going on back here for the top 10. Hanshaw is sideways. Deep breaths.
Tate's got the lead down to about 7/10, which is about a half a tenth faster right there as we come to about 8 laps to go.
Let's see here coming to the line. Yes, Luis Salmaso 22.64, Tate Lytle 22.53. Little under a half, actually a little over a half a second. But Tate is cutting the gap slightly, but he needs to cut it by tenths, not half a tenth.
I do think if it keeps going like this, Tate might get to the back deck of Luis before this is over. We only got 7 laps to go.
Cuts it into a tenth again, about 8/10 of a second. Actually, about 8/100th of a second he cuts into the gap.
Yeah, we're down to a half a second. He's cut almost 3/10 off in the last 3 laps.
You see there's Michael Whitley. He's trying to break the top 5 after an eventful day. Trying to get around Rusty Webb. Last lap again. Cutting it back a tenth. Tate Lytle. 4/10 of a second off Luis Salmaso with 6 laps to go. There's a battle with Brent Miller. Let's see what Tate can do coming around with 5 to go. Will he cut it again? About 2/100ths of a second he cuts the lead. So there's Tate Lytle, Luis Salmaso. What do you see here, Richard, with coming to 5 laps to go? What can Tate do to maybe make the pass? I know he's running a little bit of a higher line. Can he get the run on the outside? As Tate's going to get loose. Don't spin it. He saves it. He saves it. And that's just Tate running hard.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much going to take the race out of doubt. See if Tate can hold on to second here with Thomas Morris on the outside of him.
And that's it. And that's 2 great runs by Luis. That's actually 3 great runs. Luis, Tate, Thomas. Tate and Thomas have had some crazy things happen to them tonight, and they both rebounded to get second and third. They're going to battle here for the second spot with 3 laps to go, as Luis Salmaso just maybe get that first victory of the season.
And you can see that's a great view right there. Both those guys fighting those race cars hard. Tate and Thomas.
Still side by side. As Tate's going to complete the pass, it's not going to be over yet. We got 2 laps to go. Thomas gets in a little bit hard, but Tate should get the run off. We haven't mentioned a lot, but Hackathorn is P4. That's a great run by Matt Hackathorn. He struggled a lot this year, and he's running 4th as we're going to get the white flag. Luis Salmaso taking the white flag one more time around for that 4 car.
Yeah, we talked about it before. He just needed the race to kind of just play out the way it should play out. This one kind of done it.
And Luis Salmaso, 14 points back when we came into this race, and I'm going to make a pretty bold prediction. I think he's going to be the points leader when we head to Talladega. That's Luis Salmaso, the winner at Richmond in round number 5 of the 3-Wide Racing Driver Developmental Series. Tate Lytle is going to bring it home second. Thomas Morris third.
Yeah, good run for all 3 of those guys. David Wilson made a nice run back there at the end to finish 6th. He got a lap down somehow with about 40 laps left in the race and got a lucky dog and was able to get a decent finish.
Yeah, good run for David. Good run. Look at Josh Personet with the top 5. Started 19th. Worked his way up. That was a 14th-place differential that Personet had. So that's a great run for him in the top 5. Hackathorn 4th. We just mentioned him. So a couple good runs by people. Michael Whitley struggled all race long. Ended up being 7th.
Yeah, and Todd's going to bring it home 19th. So Luis and Tate at least picked up 18 and 17 points respectively, and I know Tate picked up 1 on the bonus points. So I think we're going to have a dead heat for the points lead coming out of here.
It's going to be awesome going to all places you could imagine to go to settle the championship. It's going to be Talladega, and these boys, they're going to have to race it now. Todd was just going to sit back, I think, and now all 3 of them are going to have to race it for this championship.
Yeah, no doubt. We got high drama going into Talladega now.
That's awesome. Awesome. I'm pumped for this. This is going to be a really good finish to 3-Wide TV and a good finish to 3-Wide DD series. We should probably do some interviews. And, well, how do you want to set it up? You want to do 3rd and 1st? I'll do 2nd?
Sure. I'll go ahead and get Thomas up here. We'll have a little chat with him.
10-4.
Thomas, Richard up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, a copy.
Well, it was kind of an eventful day for you. You qualified well. Then you got to enjoy the middle of the field for a little while, but in the end, you were able to bring it home with a good, solid 3rd place finish. How'd the race go for you?
Yeah, just qualified good, like you said. Thought we may have had better speed, but just couldn't keep up with Todd and those guys. So long run, figured we had a top 5 car maybe. Completely missed my pit box again. Don't know how. Kind of played the strategy, stayed out one time because even when I made my pit stops, I seemed to have slower stops than half the people in front of me. So I just kind of stayed out one time. Luckily got a caution when I needed it and kind of cycled back up to the front here. Tried to get Tate there at the end, but couldn't get him. Other than that, like you said, it was eventful but fun. Didn't get caught up in any of the mess, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and you talked about missing your pit box. It seemed like a lot of the guys in the front, we watched their pit stops, a lot of moving around once they thought they were in their stall. Is this new build kind of an issue, trying to get in and out of pit road here?
Well, it's the Richmond thing, kind of like Iowa and Phoenix, where you're on that curve and you think you're in far enough, and then when you go in, the guys are like too far right, which that's a combination of that, and I think, and the new build, because they're real picky on how the car sits. So, just gotta deal with it and get better at that.
Well, overall, good run for you. You got a front row seat to some of the action up front. Had some contact. Had some guys lose connection. What did you think about all the fireworks in the race?
Well, I mean, I think the closest I came, I think, was David Wilson when he spun in front of me. I pretty much decided that was going to be a DNF, but somehow we missed him. And then I know Todd had some contact, James had some contact. Just one of those crazy Richmond, I won't say nights, one of those days, I guess. But overall, it was better than the last time this league was at Richmond, so it was an improvement, I guess.
We like to make the races shorter when you guys aren't calling them because we're not as good. But hey, overall, go ahead, Thomas.
I'd say the 24 hours of Richmond was not fun. So
it's not fun to drive in either. You got to experience some pace laps here tonight. Those are never that fun. But overall, good race for you. Thanks for stopping by with us, and good luck next week at Talladega.
Oh, is that next week? Oh boy.
Yes, sir. Going to have a dead heat for the championship, too, it looks like, going into it.
I know, isn't that amazing how that works out? Little connection trouble here and there, and now we've got a wide-open championship for you guys to call.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We'll see you next week at Talladega. Good luck, Thomas.
Yep, see you guys then. Thanks.
That was Thomas Morris getting third here tonight. We're going to bring up Tate Lytle. I'm going to give an interview with Tate here. See if we got him. Tate, you got a copy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Our second place finisher here, Tate Lytle. And Tate, man, how many cars you passed tonight?
Way too many, man. Way too many.
That's what we figured. You had some incidents there, and we kind of felt bad for you because none of them were you're doing. Can you talk a little bit through? Give us a little bit of an insight into kind of what happened there with you and Todd battling for the lead.
Yeah, that one was more my bad. I got by him, then he got underneath me, and I thought I had him cleared when I went to arc down to the bottom, and he clipped me. Then the second time, I waited 5 or 6 laps, passed James clean, got by him, and then the next corner he dives it in there and makes contact, and we spun out again, but covered for second place finish, so not too bad.
Yeah, this is an awesome day for you guys, and we noticed the incident between you and Todd. You guys were running much different lines. You were kind of doing the arc strategy of Richmond, the diamond look, and Todd was just running that yellow line the whole entire time. So some things like that tend to happen. The James Duke deal, that was a different deal, but man, Todd Smith having connection issues going out of this race. I think he ended up finishing 19th. You finished second. I'm beginning to think that I think Luis jumped up to first. You're second. Todd Smith back to third. This race is wide open for Talladega next week.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining for sure. Anything can happen at Talladega, and if I'm doing the math in my head right, I should be like 8 or 9 points behind Luis, and then Todd should be right there with me. So, luckily I got the halfway points today. That helped a lot, but anything can happen at Talladega.
Yeah, we cannot wait to see what happens at Talladega. And you definitely put on a show for us. We loved watching you go through the back, to the front, through the back. I think it happened the first race of the season where you had to do the same thing. You're one of the fastest guys here, and it's going to be fun to see what happens between you three for the championship.
Yeah, hopefully nothing bad happens to any of us next week. I'll be there at the end to make a race at it.
All right, Tate. Well, have a good one, man.
Have a good one.
Take it easy.
See you guys.
Tate's roommates try to make every interview an adventure.
We should just interview Tate every race. I know we've had Tate on for the last couple races, but it's always eventful.
Tate needs to buy a mic, and we can just do it podcast style with his whole damn housing department there.
That's a perfect idea. What do we got here? We got the winner. We'll have Luis coming up to the booth. Richard, I'll drag Luis up and you can give him the interview. There he is.
All right, Luis. Richard up in the booth. Looks like you finally put one together.
Yeah, just give me a couple seconds, guys. Let me just get the monkey here and just get him off my back and just put it inside the closet and just beat the shit out of this. Stay there. Don't move. Shh. All right, I'm good.
We talked about you a lot. Actually, I picked you before the race to win. I felt like one of these races, it seemed like every week something went against you to where you were one of the fastest cars, and it just didn't work out for you. But this week, everything just kind of worked out for you. Talk about your race.
Yeah, I was starting to get like known around for being a grumpy guy. I heard around that I started to develop that reputation, and that's not who I am. That's not how I like to drive. So just try to approach this race like any other race, just trying to stay away from trouble, just trying to avoid doing anything stupid. And for some reason today, all the dominoes just fell in my favor. So guys who were faster had problems. People that were running up front for one reason or the other got together, and at the end was clear track and just hitting my marks, don't making a mistake, and everything came together. Just doing exactly the same thing, didn't change anything. Just for some reason, the gods of luck just decided, you know what? Let's pick that 4 car. Tonight, let's make it his night. So.
Well, I feel like it was about time. You talk about not changing anything, not doing anything. We don't have the official points yet, but we think we're going to have pretty much a 3-way dead heat run going into Talladega for the championship. So how do you look at Talladega when it's going to be a 3-car battle for the championship?
Oh, man. Of course it has to be a 3-way tie. It has to, right? So, do I like Talladega? Of course. I love the super speedways. I think I run pretty well, not only in race train, but I think I qualified pretty well. I did some pretty good qualifying races there last year. Yeah, well, I like to think that you beat me, and what they were just like they flip a coin and they decided to put me in front. But that's what it is. But it's all going to come down to how clean can you get to the end. Luckily, this year I have a teammate running with me, so it will be interesting to run with Rusty, see who's a better pusher, who's a better guide all the way through. And we'll just need to be aware of who we're racing and the moment to strike, position ourselves the right way, and just make sure that we're not pushing the wrong moment in the middle of the turns, and take our time. Hopefully we can be in the lead pack. The cars will be clean, and we have a shot at following that exit through the tri-oval, be in a position to just either hold everybody on the inside or just block the hell out of everybody and just get everything to the outside. So we'll see. There's nothing we can do on a super speeder. Whatever happens is going to happen. So it's different from here, where you can actually race the track and you can race your car and you can pretty much make sure that you are out of trouble. There, if you want to run for the win, you're going to have to be in the middle. You're going to have to mix it up, and God knows what's going to happen. You just need to trust the guys next to you. We do have a pretty good roster of guys running, and hopefully we're all going to be able to just get to the final lap at next week's race and just like decide on the finish line. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, a lot of ifs for a championship coming down to a big race on NASCAR's big track. But hey, great job tonight, finally getting it done. It was long overdue for you, and good luck going in next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate the broadcast. Just before I go, I'd just like to give a big shout out to everybody at 3OG who gave me a shot this year, and we were doing the best we could just to make sure that we were finishing races and being up there in the top of the leaderboard, just trying to contend for a championship, and they seem to be pretty pleased with what we're doing. And give a big shout out to everybody at WCR who races with me, teach me a lot on how to get around these tracks, especially a track that I don't like Richmond. Everybody at Jaws Graphics, everybody who's at home watching, and let's get it done. Let's final one. Let's go for it.
Yeah, good luck, man.
Thanks, boss.
That's Luis Samasso getting the win here tonight, and also getting the points lead away from Todd Smith. And if Carlos wants to show the rundown of who finished what, who finished where during the race, we'll give it to you. Luis Samasso, we just talked to him. He's your winner. Tate Lytle second, Thomas Morris third, Hackathorn fourth, Personet with a great run in P5, David Wilson sixth, Whitley was in a seventh place run, Chad Brown eighth. Hanshaw gets one of his lonely top 10 finishes. He rolls off ninth, and Brett Miller gets a P10. Skylar Nissel 11th, Miller 12th, Webb 13th, Nathan Young 14th, Sims the 4th, You know, he's not the third, he's not the second Richard, but he's the fourth. Cogswell, 16th. Duke, 17th. Hines, 18th. And a lot of these guys, 18th on back, had lots of problems. Even 16th and 17th had lots of problems. Hines, 18th. Todd Smith with that awful mechanical failure. His connection goes bad. Gets 19th. Andrew Rucker, P20. Jordan Teal, 21st. Remember what happened to Jordan? Hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt him. P21 for Jordan. Mike Stevens, 22nd. Levi Zielinski with the bad internet, rounding out the field, 23rd. And Richard Hanshaw, you guys both joining me here right now. I thought I was going to be talking about how can these guys somehow beat Todd at Talladega next week. But now it's who's gonna be the one that gets out of the trouble, who's going to stay out of trouble. And it might be whoever wins at Talladega next week out of these three guys is going to win this championship.
Yeah, it's going to be a three-horse race for sure, and it looks like Todd's going to go from trying to protect a big points lead to trying to make up a few points as we go into Talladega.
Yeah, I'm really, we couldn't ask for a better show right now. We got three guys battling for the championship at the track with the most unknowns. You have no clue what's going to happen at Talladega, and this is what I love about the schedule. I know Corey wouldn't do this for any other series, but it's the DD series. It's a fun series, and this is going to be a really, really fun race next week. I cannot wait for it. And one guy that's going to be a part of it is going to be Kyle Hanshaw. And Hanshaw, man, you had a P9. You finished 9th. What can you take away from this? And I'm imagining you're going to go for broke next week.
Yeah, I mean, this series is shaping up to be one hell of a battle, and what better track to end it at than Talladega. But I mean, yeah, we got a top 10 tonight. I think finished 9th. We were running, I think 5th or 6th, and then we got together with David Wilson going into 1 and tried to keep it out of the wall, which I did, but just lost a couple positions, and he said he apologized for that. I didn't have no problem with it. But yeah, I mean, tonight's race, it was pretty fun. Just some guys driving way over their heads early in some of the runs, and just a whole bunch of cautions, just typical short track stuff. But I mean, all in all, we had a decent night. Just tried to keep it out of trouble and keep it under us, and we brought home the top 10.
Yeah, good run for you. I know you've been looking for consistency out of your car and just some luck from the races you've been. So hopefully this starts something good for your team. 9th place finish isn't all that bad, and you got Talladega next week to make something happen. And Richmond was eventful, Richard. There was a lot of cautions. There was a lot of guys that made some mistakes that maybe could have been prevented. But all in all, I thought the racing was good. I thought there was a lot of passing throughout the field, like we've seen throughout this whole entire season from the DD series. And what can you take away from Richmond here tonight?
Yeah, I think overall we had a lot of good racing. We showed a lot of good racing off the pack. You just like to see maybe just a little bit more give on that first deal down in turn 1. I mean, I feel like that was avoidable. There's a couple other situations where maybe guys were overdriving the car a little bit, causing big wrecks to take out other guys. You just want to see guys keep the car underneath them, not cause big issues for other guys.
Yeah, that's one thing. I know this is a DD series, driver developmental series that we're running. So really, what you want to kind of do, I know this is a short track, but I think Corey wants to see consistency. He wants to see longer green flag runs, and this is the first race that we've had a short track for the DD series. So maybe he'll cut some of these guys some slack, but I know Corey is going to be looking long and hard at some of the mistakes some of these guys were making. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens going on. I mean, we shouldn't even dwell on the past anymore. We're going to have a heck of a show next week. And if anybody can help me out, and Carlos and anybody here, we've been trying to push to get this race next week on the portal, and I looked on the schedule. We looked on the schedule, and there's nothing there on the portal for this time slot. So if anybody can help us out, we've been sending emails to people to try to get this done. This is going to be a heck of a show next week, and we want it shown not just to you guys, but to everybody across this whole entire platform of iRacing. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm really, really excited. I know you guys got to be excited too to see what happens next week.
Yeah, and I've been refreshing these points like a maniac since the race ended, and the new point just got listed with Luis as your points leader, Tate's 6 back, Todd 7 back. So we got 3 guys within 7 points going into the final race here at Talladega. So it's going to be a whale of a race, and the more people can see it, the better, I think.
Wow, so 3 guys separated by 7 points going into the most wild race of the year. And, man, I mean, I think when you look at Talladega, you got to look at team cars and how they can affect the race. We've seen that, it seems like every race at a super speedway, where teammates can really play a big part in how you succeed at Talladega and Daytona. Todd has some teammates. I think he's kind of affiliated with PPG. That might help him out. Luis has 3 OG. But there's only 1 car in the field with him and Rusty. And Tate's kind of a loner. He doesn't have anybody at JTR. So it'll be fun to see how these packs kind of organize. And these B cars race differently than the Cup Series. They're a little bit more racier. So we might see a larger pack throughout the race. But like always, these green flag pit stops is going to be such a key at Talladega to see if you can get out with this lead pack and stay in the lead pack. So I'm so excited to see what happens coming next week.
Yeah, we should see a great race going in next week. And the good thing is that nobody's got a lot of help. Everybody's going to have to kind of fend for themselves, I feel like. So it's going to be on them to just go out here and race and try to make up the points or hold on to the points if you're Luis.
So I think that's about it. Hanshaw, do you want to add anything to Talladega or to this points lead? Anything to that?
No, I mean, you really couldn't ask for anything better and to end where we're ending the series. I mean, no better racetrack, and it's going to be a war. It's going to be a battle. So guys better, be prepared, and it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and this is what we wanted. This is why we put Talladega on the last race, because this is the end of the DD series, but it's also the beginning of Speed Weeks. And if this is any kind of sign of how the 3-wide racing season is going to be, or just how Speed Weeks alone is going to be, it's going to be an awesome couple weeks with this race, with Media Day, with the Clash, and then ending with the Daytona 250. But I think that's about it. We thank you guys. Oh, producer Carlos said, what are we doing tomorrow? We are racing. The 3-wide racing Triple Crown series is racing tomorrow night, same time, 10:15 on Max Speed TV with KR and Rudy and Tanner Sharp. All the gang will be covering that event. I'll be racing in it, and Hanshaw, Carlos will all be racing in it, so you can catch us racing tomorrow night. And please like our videos, follow us on Twitter, 3Wide TV, and come back next week because it's going to be an awesome show. But that's about it that we all have here for tonight. I'm Johnny Thomas, Richard Lafferty alongside me, and Kyle Hanshaw, in-race reporter. So thank you all for watching tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, and have a good night.